Imagine surrounding yourself with incredible women who've overcome challenges, they've rebounded after failures and disappointments, and women who are not afraid to shine their brilliance to make a mark in the world. These women support other like-minded women because they know there is plenty of opportunity for everyone and that together we really can make a difference, grow our businesses while have fun along the way. This is what Women in Leadership Podcast is all about. Welcome. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross. Grab a cup of your favourite beverage, pull up a chair and let's get this conversation started. And welcome to another episode of Women in Leadership Podcast. And today's conversation is going to be just as compelling and inspiring. And today's guest says, your resume, well, it is an artifact. Your career, however, is your narrative. I love that. Joining me on today's show to have a conversation is Anna Daugherty. Anna is the Director of Product Marketing at Armory.io, and she has over 10 years of tech marketing experience across a variety of industries, including B2B, B2C, e-commerce, automotive, and SaaS. And on today's show, Anna's going to share resumes don't resonate. Your career story does. We're going to unpack that a bit. She's going to talk about the advice sells benefits, not features. It's not right advice for everyone, especially for startups and especially if you're in tech. She's also going to talk about the importance of being your own advocate and expert. So welcome to the show, Anna.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, absolutely. Look, when I read the introduction today, talking about, career story, your career narrative versus your resume, it's so important, isn't it? Yet in the career industry and as a job seeker, one of the first things that we think we need to focus on is our resumes. So let's start off firstly by sharing a little bit about what led you down the path to where you are today. Is it always been something of interest, or have there been some unique and interesting pathways and doors opening up for you throughout your career and your career narrative?
Absolutely. So I would say that where I'm at today, which is a director of product marketing, I didn't even know what that was about 5 years ago. I didn't even know what product marketing was 5 years ago. So the first thing that really made a turning point for me was understanding that, it was okay to be a marketing generalist, but I wasn't finding the career satisfaction that I needed in that role. I would bounce from place to place. Marketing was typically the first thing to get cut if a company needed to make cuts, right? And so I was like, I need to make myself valuable, and I need to market myself as more than just a marketer. I have a variety of tech skills that I can add to this equation. And that's when I realized that product marketing was a field. And it is very much that marketing plus technology plus product ownership. And so bringing that all together, it created a story in my brain about what my career actually was, which was years of product marketing that I didn't know existed.
Yeah, that's incredible. What I love about what you've just shared is how often, unless we take a step back and really critically look at, and with curiosity too, I think it takes curiosity and an understanding of some of the significant experiences that we've had throughout our career, and how can we weave that together to tell this, and in your case, it's a unique and uncopyable experience that no one else can offer. Tell us a little bit about some of the things, looking back, is important to do, so that if others are thinking, well, look, Anna, okay, let me look at my history, my narrative. What are some of the things you encourage them to look out for as these things you want to take notice of?
Great question. I would say the first thing is, what do you feel that you're very strong at? What is your aptitude? You could be really good at marketing, and that's great. What is it about marketing that you are good at? Really narrow in on that niche and be able to back it up with examples throughout your career. Build your portfolio around your aptitude. And then now that you have an understanding of what you're good at, what you like to do, what you can shape your career around, start looking into the opportunities in the job market. Keyword searches are so important here. You need to be able to align your aptitude with demand, right? So you can be really good at something, but not be able to describe it very well. So you need to be able to do that sort of landscape analysis to be able to align where that demand is. And that way, if you have skills gaps, for instance, let's say you're really good at something, but you need to go that extra mile, you need to get a certification, or you need to take that next step in order to really meet the challenges of a specific role. That way, you know what those gaps are. You can start to fill in those gaps to achieve that next step that you need to go to. So I say, here's an example. As a product marketer, I knew I had a lot of tech marketing career experience, but I didn't really know what it meant to be a product marketer. So I needed to take some courses. I needed to do some training. I took a certification course, and then I started to really understand the top level needs of that role, and then I could shape my career and experience toward those needs. And plus, just taking those certifications was great. It really affirmed for me why I liked what I do. And it gave me the language to be able to speak about it more coherently.
Yes. Something that I'd love to ask you a little bit further about, because I think this is so important. So often, if I think back to when I was in the career industry, what a lot of job seekers assumed that they needed to do was to look at what the company was requiring of people and then tailor their experience to suit, which of course there is some merit to that. But when we're talking about long-term careers and having a career that we feel fulfilled, and as you've just said, you really started to enjoy what you were doing. There was already a level of enjoyment. How important do you think it is for someone to look at it through the lens of what are you good at? What are some of the things that you've done really well? And in some instances, I'm sure, Anna, you may have recognized, oh, this comes so naturally to me. But for other people who are maybe not as gifted in that particular area, to them, it would be quite a struggle. How important has it been to you then ending up in a role that not only you were good at, that there was a need for from the company's point of view, but that you really enjoyed and felt fulfilled and motivated to do? How important has that been?
It's life-changing. It's the most important thing about having to have to work to live is tough for us as humans. But having a job that provides me with fulfillment and fun and excitement and adventure every single day, but also stability and understanding that I'm contributing to the organization as a whole, being recognized for those efforts. All of that stuff is incredibly important to me. The life-changing part of it is being able to talk to people like you and being able to advocate for this type of role, which,
Yes.
for women in technology, I mean, not to transition too much, but, you know, uh, I had always had a hard time breaking into technology, like, because they would sort of peel apart hard skills from soft skills, right? You always come upon that challenge, and I'm not gifted in math. That's not a gift of mine, right? And so mathematics in the sort of educational side of becoming a technologist was a challenge for me. And so I developed more of my aptitude in language. And so, I was not going to become a programmer. I wasn't going to become a data scientist. And so what is left for me in technology, it's about product, and it's about strategy and understanding the market and understanding the user and understanding the values that your company brings. So you're going to encounter some of these challenges as a woman in technology, that you're going to be undervalued. You're going to be kind of maybe misunderstood a little bit. And so you have to really step back and think, no, there's no such thing as a soft skill. It's still a skill. A skill of communication is a very tough skill to be able to build, and to do a good job of communicating the value of your product to not only your organization, but the world is incredibly important. So step
Yes.
back, remember that it's important for you to have those skills, and they're not soft or hard. they're just as important as someone else's skills.
Oh, totally. And you know what I love about what you've just said? There's not a and an or. It's both, really, isn't it? Because if you can have the best mathematical and technical skills, and we need those sort of people. However, we may not put those people out in front to do customer service. My son is in the tech industry as well, and he's gifted in the area of communication. He's got the both too, and he said, "Son and Mum, I've just got to go behind all our tech guys and clean up their mess because they say it as it is, and you know what? That's just the way that they are, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're great in their area of expertise. And I love how we're seeing the market now shift to and recognizing that. I mean, the word soft skills to define something is so ridiculous because if you can't communicate, I mean, you can have the best product in the world, but if your ideal client or your consumers or stakeholders and shareholders aren't able to really grasp the vision and why your product versus the many others, then you've got, a fantastic product sitting on the shelf and no one's using it. So totally understand that. And just to highlight what you have said, the journey that you took, you first spent some time recognizing, where do I really shine? Where are my strengths? Then you looked at the market. Where can I market this? Where is this relevant? How can I leverage and position myself? What are the gaps? What do I need to do to learn a little bit more certifications? And then you were able to package all of that and really position yourself as a must-have, valuable candidate. Now, if you're listening to this episode, you can do this or should be doing this even if you're in your own business, because all of these things can be mapped over, whether, isn't it, Anna, whether you're an individual working for an organization and submitting your application to an organization, or if you are a leader of a business and you're positioning your products and services to a potential client. The marketing and positioning communications is still very much the same. Let's talk about then the marketing document in the view of a career. We talk about resumes often, don't we? Personal marketing documentation. And I love the way that you've said resumes don't resonate. Your career story does. How would you define career story, and what are some of the key elements we should be incorporating into our story?
Absolutely. Yeah, I like to say your resume is an artifact. And what I mean by that is, if you ever create an API or a piece of programming, the code that is as a result is almost not human readable, right?
Mm.
And so a resume is just code on a page until you're able to really highlight and elaborate on what that means for you. So I like to structure my resume as sort of a teaser. I'm not going to go after those careers where I'm going to get rejected because the AI said you don't meet the resume criteria to be able to go to the next job or the next stage of the job. That's not where I belong, right? I belong at a place that's going to look at my resume and say, I want to meet her. I want to know more about her. I want to know what she's capable of. And so it's very much about, who are you as a person? What do you bring? And how has your career up to this point proven that? Whether that's, high level results you're able to show, your portfolio, uh, multimedia links in your resume that people can explore, imagery is so crucial at that point. And so, you're going to have a lot of candidates who are going to run up to that AI problem where they're going to try to game the system and try to get an interview, but they're going to just be another one of the long line of candidates who met the keyword search criteria and maybe even get to a phone screening if they're lucky.
Yes.
You need to branch out a little bit more and show yourself and your personality in your resume.
Yeah, so true. And you know what would really stand out? Again, that's how you're expressing your information. You're bringing that forward, you're communicating that. And I love the way that you've suggested to be unique. And there may be aspects of that you can bring forward. I remember years ago, one of the people in the career industry who was a career coach was sharing how he mentored one of his clients who had applied for a role, who was going in for an interview. So he'd kind of gone through that. But this is all aspects of how can you stand out? What are some of the things that you do? So what this young man was doing was going for an interview for a retail outlet. That young gentleman had gone through the retail outlet. He kind of knew where things were positioned so that when he went to the interview, he was able to, well, demonstrate that he'd gone and done that. I mean, that in and of itself was very impressive. You've gone to one of our stores and he was able to add some value. So it's really looking at, well, where can I add value? Where can I put my touch of how, my style that will really stand out? Because let's face it, otherwise you're just part of the same old is all of the others, isn't it? And I know that those who want to stand out and really make an impact, we don't like to follow what everyone else is doing. We want to add our own uniqueness to and flavor to what we're doing. Yes.
Absolutely. And the hiring manager, there's a couple schools of thought there. There could be people who are looking for that, but there could be people who are a more pragmatic type. And so the way you can add value to them is always remember that one of the hardest and most laborious investments to make is a new hire. And so you want to show up to the job ready, right? And so that
Yes.
young man you were talking about, he knew that. He knew, if I show up here and have a little bit of pre-work done, I can be an impressive candidate in this retail organization. The very same thing applies for a pragmatic hiring manager you're trying to convince to let you get that job. What are you going to bring day one? Your strategic narrative, your personality, all of that stuff maybe won't matter to that person. But being able to showcase what you can accomplish in a very short amount of time and how you can add value immediately is going to resonate with them.
Yeah. What I love about what you've said too, and what the discussion that we're having is, it's a two-way street. Often as job seekers, and even if you are a potential service provider who is looking to work with a potential client, if it's not a match, and if your personality and your style and how you like to operate doesn't fit with the organization's culture, values, and the style in which they do things, it's not a good fit. You could be the best candidate technically wise and communication and all the skills that you bring, but if you're not able to shine and do what you do best because the organization and same the client restricts you so much, you don't want to move ahead with it. So I think that being yourself and authentic. I know we often use that word, we throw that around, but when you're authentically authentic, that you're bringing your truth and how you like to do things. That's just so important. Let's segue and talk about benefits and features. The advice you say is selling benefits versus and not features, maybe not the right advice for everyone, especially when we're thinking about startups in the tech industry. Share a bit about this, because this is challenging the status quo too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll hear that advice a lot. Sell the benefit. Sell how someone's life is going to be so much better because of it. And sure, right? This applies to a lot of the entrepreneurs you probably have in your network here that listen to this show. They do need to sell the benefits of what they're selling. That's absolutely important. But there's a class of buyer or user who needs more than that.
Yeah.
They have an expectation that those outcomes are gonna be good. That's not enough for them, right? The benefits are already expected. It's
Yeah.
okay, but are you able to fulfill my technical challenges? Do you, or to have this compliance need that I have, right? There are very many, line items that they have to check in order to even consider a piece of technology for their organization. And so it's about marrying those two things. You can't be 10,000 foot view all the time, and
Mm.
especially in technology. So you have to understand what your industry needs. If you're in, for instance, finance, um, that's a completely regulated industry. And so if you're
It
trying to
is.
make innovation in finance, right? If you're trying to sell innovation in finance, you still have to consider all of the regulatory needs of your industry. So always remember the line items do matter. So it's
Mm.
about positioning on top of those things and being able to back up your benefits with specific features that your user needs.
Mm.
I learned this the hard way. So, I came from an API design company and I absolutely loved working there. It was fantastic. The users loved the product. But the problem was that the people who would get into the door loved to use the free version of the product, and they
Mhm.
didn't need more than that.
Ah.
Right? And so it's like, how do you sell more? They already had the expected outcomes and benefits that they needed.
Yeah.
How do you sell more than that? How do you get them to invested in to purchasing something if you can't deliver more features or more things that they need?
Yes.
If you got it right out of the box, you don't need any more.
Mm.
So, I learned that the hard way. I learned that it took me way too long to learn I can't move the needle on these folks because they're getting the features and benefits and outcomes that they need all from this one package. And
Mm.
so, really step back, think about that. Think about what value to deliver at each step of the process. Do you need to make an investment in new features that the industry needs? And then how do you position that as part of your strategic narrative about your organization?
Yeah, I love that you've said that, and I won't name names, but it's a very well-known graphic design company, or you can use that as consumers as graphic design. For years, I was
Ah,
on the free. You probably know the one that I'm
oh,
talking
yeah,
about. I
absolutely.
was on the free version, and then there was something that they said, and I thought, "Oh, that would be really good." And then we use it more and more and more, and is it that? That is it. It was an easy yes, and I think it's one of those things that as businesses we need to really think about is what is it that's going to push people over the edge. They will continue to love the product, but there's just one other feature that will just have them go, you know what, that is such an easy yes. But you know what's interesting when we talk about benefits and features, the features themselves may itself be a benefit
Mhm.
because of the fact that it answers an issue that many consumers of other products say, if only it would do this, if only it would do that. So in that case, you want to explain, what the feature is and how will it make your life better? How will it, speed things up, save money, time, and all those kind of things. So I guess it's also a mixture of both. And
Mhm.
who is the consumer? So it could be a consumer of an end product user, or it could be a potential employer. What are they really looking for? And ensure that you communicate, the product, the service, or you, if it's you that you're positioning yourself for a role, is shared in that particular way. So important. Something else that I think is really important is that you say is being your own advocate and expert. Why I say this, and I love that we're going to talk about this, is how many people will often say, I've been working really hard, or I've met and exceeded KPIs, but I'm just not getting noticed. No one's noticing me, head down, bum up doing the work, which is so important too, but so is being your own advocate and expert. What insights can you share here, Anna?
Absolutely. So this one was also learned the hard way. Wow, I've learned the hard way a lot, and your listeners will benefit. um,
Mm.
this one was very much about understand. It's the thing you just said. Understanding you're contributing a lot to the organization, but not getting noticed for it, and it's okay to. It's not bragging if you're benefiting the business. Is how I like to frame it. It's not bragging to say, "Our department met this KPI and exceeded it under budget, on time." Those sort of things are things the business wants to hear about. Um, so advocating for those things in communication, in Slack channels, highlighting the people on your team who you work together with to make it happen. That's about, socializing the importance of your work.
Yeah.
Um one thing I did was start a mini newsletter in the organization because I was a team of one as a product marketer. And a lot of people don't know what product marketing is. And even at an organization that has a product marketing department, it was very much about, education, repeatability, right? Making sure that this education is surfaced in a way people could access. So I started a little mini newsletter. So every Friday, I call it the Product Marketing Corner. It's a reiteration of the work that we're doing, how it benefits the business, and what to expect next from us, how to get in touch with us, how to work with us. And every week is a little bit different. Is it content one week? Is it results one week? It changes, but it's very much about reminding people you're here, you're making an impact. We're here
Yes.
for you if you need us, and don't forget, right? So not everybody's going to have that same ability to do that
Yeah.
within their companies, but they definitely have the ability to socialize their own uh, expertise within the business.
Yes. Yeah. So true. And what's so important in what you've just shared is, and we do often, I don't want to toot my own horn, those kind of things.
Mhm.
However, we can showcase the contributions through the lens of how is it going to help other people in the team? How can I help you? Sharing those stories. So whilst someone may not have the written skills and capability of starting a newsletter, there may be, do you have a voice? We've got this technology now that we call podcasting. Are you able to create an audio which perhaps can go throughout the organization? I think if you can provide something, as you said, that is this keeps the communication loop going, you're able to showcase who you are and what's possible through also championing others, if that makes sense. And that's exactly what you've done within that. You've been able to showcase stories by also showing how it contributes to other departments. And then that opens the doorway for people thinking, oh, I wonder if, what if, and those conversations can then come, hey, Anna, can we have a conversation? Can we book a meeting to perhaps brainstorm some things in our area? And that leads to further conversations. What impacts and what feedback have you gotten, Anna, about the newsletter?
So sometimes the adoption will be high, sometimes it will be low. It depends on how busy the org is, if it's a
Yeah.
holiday, things like that. I always tend to leave a little emoji that says, if you read this, give us a thumbs up or a smiley face or this little emoji thing that shows me you've engaged with this piece of content. The most consistent feedback I get is this is great for transparency and visibility. Previous to you, we didn't really know quite what the department was and what it did. Now I have no qualms about the department. I know you're always on track. I know you're always working towards our best interest, and I'm excited to work with you.
Yeah.
So that's been the really good feedback. I will say not everyone engages, right? You can lead a horse to water and all that saying, and you can't force them
Yeah.
to drink. So the delivery mechanism is also just as important. Like you said, audio, great medium to deliver information. I like to show up to team meetings. So, for instance, our sales team, I'll say, "Let me get on a sales team meeting and let me get in front of you and let's
Yes.
workshop something. Give me some time. Give me 15 minutes. Let's
Yeah.
let's give some FaceTime." And
Yeah.
that's going to help with collaboration. It's going to help with your visibility, and it's going to help build trust between you and the other people in your org.
Yeah, so true. If you do it through wanting to be, contributory in your approach, how can I help you? What are some of the things you're working on? Are there any challenges that you face that perhaps through what we're doing in our department, we can be of support? 15 minutes, 10 minutes can then really open up lots of opportunity to further conversations. We've just scratched the surface in what we've spoken about today, Anna, but I know that we've given people some inspiration to certainly think about how can I be more of an advocate and an expert in my area, to be able to claim it not in a very arrogant way, but in a contributing, collaborative way, which I know works best in any organization, whether you're big or small. Before we go, share a little bit more about armory.io and how people can get in contact with you.
Absolutely, I'd love to. So, Armory is the continuous deployment solution for developers of any size business at any scale. So, if you've ever tried to launch a piece of code into the cloud and you were stopped by a gatekeeper or some sort of manual process, we help to eliminate that for you. And so you can reap the benefits of your product going to market faster with better end usage and more uptime. It's really great. I'm so excited to work there. I'm excited for product marketing to be such a huge component of that business. So if you're interested, it's armory.io. If you'd like to get in touch with me, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. Anna Daugherty. Hopefully you'll link in the description or something and they can find me so they don't have to spell my name, which could sometimes be a challenge. But yeah,
That's
I'm right there.
We'll
Happy to
tag
connect.
you. You're right there.
Great, great.
Fantastic. Well, look, thanks for coming on the show. And yeah, that's right. We'll tag Anna over on LinkedIn and, of course, in the show notes once it goes live on our podcast network. All of those contact details will be there too. But just Google your name and I'm sure you'll come up. And certainly go to armory.io. And, of course, for us Australians who have, and I think Canadians do as well, we have the U in Armory. Don't have the U in Armory. Otherwise, you won't find us. ARMORY.io. Thanks once again for coming on the show, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, it's Anne-Marie. Before I go, are you a coach or a consultant who feels like the world's best kept secret? Your experience is vast, yet secretly you're frustrated because despite all of your hard work, you're just not getting the visibility, the recognition, or new clients you'd hope for, and you don't know why? I've created a free resource that'll help you build visibility, generate leads, and enroll dream clients with ease because you're seen as a trusted authority, even in a crowded marketplace. And you've positioned yourself as the choice versus just a choice for your dream client. To get started, go to annemariecross.com/gift. That's annemariecross.com/gift.